Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer from JenniferWalkerZen.com, and today we're going to be talking about a really interesting topic actually. How does your zodiac sign affect your body? And the person I'm going to bring on here today to talk about this is Laura Barat. She is a tropical Vedic astrologer. She is also a Cards of Truth reader, and she also offers courses on her website, LauraBaratAstrologer.com, and all of her information, including her YouTube channel, is in the links below. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments below about this topic, as well as I hope you enjoyed this interview. And let's now take it away with Laura Barat talking to us about how your zodiac sign affects your body.
In the Vedic system, they have what's called the zodiac is called Kalapurusha, or the time man. And it's a man, you know, or a human, and all of the signs represent certain body parts. And a lot of the exaltations and debilitations of planets are really coincide with the body part that that they go into, and how they can either illuminate that body part or it's a detriment to that body part. So I'll just start with Aries, and I'll go around the zodiac. So we have Aries. Aries rules the head and the brain. Okay. And this is where the inspiration comes in. Okay. This is where we, you know, kind of get all of our inspiration. So the sun is exalted there. And so that would make sense, you know, because the sun always starts something new. It's a uniqueness. It's the beginning, right? And then, so that's why the sun is exalted there. And then you have Saturn is debilitated there. Saturn is lame, and according to Parashara, these are all Parashara. He's lame, he's slow, you know, he doesn't want to do anything above and beyond only what is necessary. He just likes only simple things. So when Saturn is in Aries, the person has a lot of trouble trusting their inspiration. And when it does come through, they're slow to act on it. They're too slow to act on it. And also too, when Saturn is in Aries, believe it or not, a lot of people will have head injuries.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Or they all have headaches, or something in their head is wrong or off. And sometimes the thoughts in their head are very negative, because that's what Saturn is. He's a very negative planet. You know, he wants security, so he sees all of the things that could go wrong. And so he plans out ahead of time only based on security. Whereas the sun just wants all that inspiration and wants to get up and go, and just, you know, any idea that comes through, they want to act on it.
Okay.
So that's all coming through our head, you know, and our brain, our mind. And so there's a certain age or time period where you had Saturn and Rahu both in Aries. And this is where, you know, people can have some negative thoughts, and they dampen down their inspiration. They are questioning all the time, and they're always, and that can cause some depression, because if we don't act on our inspirations, that's actually, we're not following our dharma. That's what the dharma is, right? The inspiration and our purpose. So, and I'm actually born in this time. I have Saturn, Rahu, and Aries.
Wow.
I have the sun there too, but I'm sorry, not the sun, Venus. But I actually have 2 head injuries.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I don't want to scare people. You know, it's not. I mean, I got bumped and thrown off a horse into a barbed wire fence.
Oh my God, Jesus.
It just scratched my head. I had to go, you know, get it sewn up, but it was not a big deal, you know. But I don't want to scare people and think, oh, I'm going to have a head injury. It just means, you know, that's why Saturn doesn't do well in Aries, because it's there's an energy clash. It's completely different energies. the other thing about Aries, all those things we know about Aries, right? You know, it likes to do things quickly. It likes to do things, you know, very aggressively. And the ram, you know, it goes in just head on, head first.
Right.
And they want to do big things. They want to do things that is inspiration. They don't want to pay attention to all the little details. That's for other signs to do. But Saturn is a detail-oriented planet. And then in Gemini astrology, what he says about Aries is 5 rats and cats. That's all he says, 5 rats and cats. And what that means is that rats and cats are like the little things, the little, you know, like your computer doesn't work, or, you know, something's dirty, you can't find your pen, or you can't find what you need to work. Tiny little things like that. Aries, it really irritates Aries. And Saturn is all about the details, the small little drudgery, boring, tedious details that we have to go through. And Aries doesn't like that. and neither does the sun. So that's why he says 5 rats and cats. In Gemini astrology, when he talks about the signs, he's talking about the challenges a person faces in that sign. So that's why you have that going on. Now, Taurus rules the face and the neck. And the neck it's the feminine sign, the most feminine planet. The moon is exalted in Taurus. And we use our neck to look at our choices. You know, we turn our head to look at our choices. And Taurus is number 2. It's the sign of choice.
Right.
And so it's our face, it's our senses, it's what we need to satisfy our senses, what we need to fulfill ourselves and to have our needs met. And that's what the moon rules as well. The moon also rules the face.
Right.
So that's why the moon is exalted in Taurus. Now, Taurus is very much a sign of the material world. You know, they're known for, you know, acquiring wealth, and it's, you know, a very sensual sign. You know, you have all your senses going, and very much a worldly sign, very, very involved in the world, just like the moon. The moon is a very worldly planet. It's our mind and our senses, and it's actually our individuality. In the Vedic system, it rules the manas, or, you know, the mind. So it's our individual selves on this planet, looking for what we need, you know, what we enjoy, and having that satisfied. So nothing is debilitated in Taurus, but the sun and Jupiter are enemies to Venus, or Venus is an enemy to the sun and Jupiter.
Okay.
The sun, because the sun is not worldly. The sun represents our soul connection. You know, it's actually a very spiritual planet. It represents the soul, and it represents being alone. It's one. It likes inspiration. It's not about the senses. And so that's why the sun doesn't do well in signs of Venus. He's debilitated in Libra, and then he doesn't really do that well. It said he's starved. That's called the Lagitati of Estes. And so he's starved in Taurus. And then you have Jupiter. Jupiter is very similar to the sun in that he likes higher knowledge, higher learning, abstract thinking, you know, theoretical thinking that is very inspiring. Jupiter has kind of his head up in the clouds. Jupiter wants to do something big, you know, and he represents spirituality, our spiritual path, our guru.
Right.
And also Venus is very much a sign, both of Venus's signs, or Venus is very much a planet of diplomacy and being diplomatic with people and caring about having other people's input. And so Venus cares about what other people think. But Jupiter doesn't want to care about what other people think. He wants to do his inspiration. He wants to move above it. And the same with the sun. And so when you get the Sun and Jupiter and Venus as signs, they kind of care about what other people think, and they're waiting for other people to give their approval before they act. And that's why they're considered to be starved in those signs, right? Okay, so Gemini rules the arms and the hands, and it's very much a sign of also doing and creating with your hands, and experimenting with things. It's a sign of experimentation. It's also a sign of relationships and communicating. All air signs are very communicative. They need to bounce their ideas off of other people. And so, so nothing is exalted and nothing is debilitated in Gemini. But again, Jupiter is starved in Gemini because Mercury is an enemy to Jupiter, and Mercury is an enemy to Mars. So Jupiter and Mars doesn't do well in Gemini or Virgo, and the reason is because they're enemies, because Mercury is very much a planet of following rules. It wants to follow the rules. It rules law, or like lawyers and attorneys,
Right.
and it wants to follow steps. And Mercury actually rules the earth element in the Vedic system. So Mercury is very much a planet of following rules and following laws on this earth and manifesting things on the earth. So when you get Jupiter there, and Gemini as opposed to Virgo, Gemini is a sign of following social rules, following social etiquette. So when you get Jupiter there, Jupiter doesn't like to follow rules. You know, like he wants to do something big. He wants to do something in a big way and be really creative and do it the way he wants to do it. And one of the names for Jupiter is Guru, which means weight. I mean, it means teacher too, but it also means weight because it's the biggest planet. So Jupiter likes to throw his weight around. He likes to show off like what he does really well. And he doesn't want to follow social etiquette. He wants to, you know, do what he wants without following a bunch of rules.
Right.
And paying attention to details too, like Mercury can do. Mercury categorizes things.
Right.
And then the other enemy is Mars. When you get Mars in Gemini or Mars in Virgo, Mars is the general of the planetary kingdom, and Mars is a very logical planet, and he likes to rush in and complete things right away, likes to take care of problems right away, fix it immediately. And he's very logical. He doesn't care about etiquette, decorum. He doesn't care about rules. He wants to do it right away. When you get Mars in Gemini or Virgo, the person wants to act right away, but then Mercury says, no, you've got to take into consideration all these different things, all these different categories. You know, Mercury is very much a thinker. When you get those together, then you get somebody who can be very argumentative, or someone who likes to prove their point and debate, and they can actually go above and beyond. Once they've proven their point, they just still like to go on and on, you know, with it. When Mars and Mercury just don't like each other, and you know, they use Mars in a way through words, through communication, so they can be really just nitpicking every little thing verbally and telling you what they find wrong with it and how you should fix it.
Right.
So that's kind of why there are two different energies, very much of a clash there going on. So that's why it's considered to be starved, you know, when Mars gets in Mercury's signs. But, okay, so then going to Cancer. Cancer rules the breast area, the heart, the lungs, and where our emotions come from when we feel, you know, we feel it with our heart.
Right.
And also the lungs is what we cry, when we feel something very deeply, we're crying, we're going, we're, breathing really heavily. And the lungs are in Chinese medicine where we hold sadness.
Mm.
And so that's why they say, when heavy smokers,
Right.
they have sadness. There's something deeply saddening to them. And so Cancer is very much a sign of feelings and heart, So there you have Mars is debilitated in Cancer.
Right.
And that would make sense because Mars is so logical. He has no feeling at all. He rules logic in the Vedic system. He wants to take care of things logically. He doesn't care what anybody's feeling or what anybody else is feeling. So you can see how that would clash, right? And then Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. Jupiter, what Parashara says about Jupiter is he's joy that comes from wisdom. And so when we have that inner joy in our heart, you're just an amazing person. You go around and you can spread it around everywhere. Cancer is a cardinal sign. All cardinal signs project out energy. They're very gregarious, I guess you could say. They want to put what's inside of them out in the world.
Right.
And so Jupiter is just, it's the great benefic. You've got all this higher knowledge, you have wisdom, you have the joy that comes from wisdom. You just have this wealth of great things and you want to put it out in the world, and you have this wealth of great things in your heart. So in Vedic astrology, there's yogas. When you have Jupiter in an angle, exalted or in its own sign, they call that a Hamsa yoga or something, a Gajakashara yoga, which means you're a great person. You're just a wonderful person to be around. You're trying to spread your knowledge and happiness. And so, and another thing too is the moon is an enemy to Saturn. So Saturn doesn't do well in Cancer either. Not as bad as Aries, but doesn't do well in Cancer. And you can see why, because if Saturn is in the heart, then, there's some depression, there's some unhappiness.
Yeah.
What's in your heart is Saturn, which is, you're really afraid for your security.
Yeah.
You're thinking about that all the time. You may be reluctant to get into relationships with people because you're always asking yourself, is this a secure relationship? You're not just ready to jump in and take the risk.
Right.
Oh, and I want to mention too, if you have any questions or want to make any remarks, just interrupt me. And you'll notice I've done research too. There's a period in time where people had Rahu and Saturn in Cancer. They're a little older than me. It's like 10 years older. Or maybe more. I can't remember exactly. But this is a problematic. Saturn and Rahu together, they're both what they call Vata planets. They're airy. They cause a lot of air and they cause a lot of turmoil.
Right.
So you can have turmoil in your heart and your emotions. And so, yeah, that's, there's a lot of like crime. Like this is a big time when people were involved in, the mafia and stuff like that. So that's what it can do. I'm not, a lot of different factors go into that for an individual person.
Right.
But if you see Saturn in Cancer, it's kind of like having a Moon Saturn conjunction or Saturn in the 4th house.
Yeah.
Like some melancholy.
A lot of insecurities and stuff like that. Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah, definitely. And then, okay, so Leo, nothing is exalted or debilitated in Leo. Leo is the abdominal cavity.
Okay.
So Leo is where all of the vital organs are, like the pancreas and the liver and, our intestines, everything that gives us vitality from food, right? So where we get our energy, so the sun is in its own sign there. It's in Mula Tricona. It's like the sun in Leo is really a powerful position, only second to the sun in Aries.
Right.
And the sun does amazing in Leo. So, so that's also, you know, we're getting a lot of vital energy where we have the vitality to be creative, to follow our inspirations, all very sun. Also, you know, the digestion, that's the solar, you know, the fire that we need to digest our food. The stronger our digestion, you know, the more we're able to get that vitality from our food. And the sun is fire, you know, it's the fire element. Or Mars is the fire element, but sun rules it too as well.
If you have a very strong fire element, that would also mean that, you know, we are going to be able to keep weight off a lot better too, because it burns a lot quicker. Yeah,
definitely. And so that's why Leo has such a you know, a good. They're very vital. They're very creative people. You know, usually when you have a sun in Leo, I really like Leos, Leo sons. They're great people. They're wonderful people. But, so nothing is exalted, nothing is debilitated, but Saturn is harmed in Leo, and so is Venus.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, because Saturn is going to slow down that digestion. It's going to be slow and sluggish. It's going to make all these vital organs sluggish. So you're not getting what you need from your food. You're not getting what, you know, in like metaphorically, you're not getting what you need from life, you know, and it can just kind of give you a slow digestion. And that's actually in the Chinese system, that's where all of our power comes from, you know, that part of the body.
Yeah.
So that's why the Saturn is kind of not doing well there now. Venus, so Venus in Leo, but also in Cancer. Cancer and Leo are signs of the self. The sun and the moon are planets of the self. The sun is the mind, and moon is the mind, and the sun is our soul connection, our inspiration.
Right.
So it's very much about us, you know. The sun is the king and the moon is the queen. So when you get Venus in either of these signs, the person wants to make the relationship around them. They want to concentrate the relationship around them. You know, it has to do around more of what they want and their needs, you know, their inspirations. And I'm not, you know, this is general. Again, you know, there are a lot of other things that can go into it, but generally speaking, that's how those planets operate there. So Venus and Leo, and also Venus and Leo is going to starve the sun because it's the sun's sign. And like I said, the sun doesn't want to care about what other people think. And Venus is very much a planet of caring about what people think and getting their input and all of that. So, okay, Virgo. Virgo is really interesting.
Yeah.
And a lot of what I'm about to say, a lot of people don't know about Virgo. Okay, so for the body part, Virgo rules the lower back. All right, the lumbar area of the back. And Virgo is, in Western astrology, is the sign of the harvest, where we were supposed to work in the fields, you know, and in the harvest the food. Very much a sign of work. That's where it gets reputation. And the lower back, what is the place people mostly complain about? Their lower back. You know, it's so easy to injure that area of the body. And so, you know, it does all the work, you know, bending over and coming back up is just really hard on our back.
Yeah.
And so if you see afflictions to Virgo, like if you see Rahu in Virgo or Saturn in Virgo, or like a bunch of planets even in Virgo, Mars too, you can pretty confidently say that person will have problems with their lower back.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, Virgo is, all right. So in Western, they say Virgo is the virgin, right? But in the Vedic, Virgo is just a young prepubescent girl. It just means a young. And there's some other examples too that I can, but it's just they're very childlike in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, oh, okay. So Mercury is exalted in Virgo.
Right.
And Mercury, you know, is the planet of categorization and
sorry to interrupt, but do you think with the Virgo sign, do you think that they tend to like, they want proof in a certain way. They analyze a lot as well. And what
that's the Mercury. Yeah, the Mercury is the planet of analyzing and categorization.
Yep.
And just Mercury is a planet of business.
Yep.
And, you know, law, and also, you know, according to Gemini, Mercury is a planet of art, you know, of being a craftsman and also performing arts. Mercury is like the repetitive things we have to do to get good at something.
Right.
And the actual finished product, like the painting or the play or the ballet, you know, the TV show, that's ruled by Venus. But the actual work going into it, you know, when you're painting and drawing or whatever it is, that is Mercury.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Gemini system, and in Parashara too.
It also seems like Virgos are able to grasp things very quickly as well. It seems like they're able to get things very, very quickly. And obviously Mercury.
Yeah, and Gemini too. Because Mercury is the intellectual planet. It's very intellectual, very articulate. You know, the word there, but it's not the planet of genius. That's Jupiter. I mean, you can be intellectual, but you're not necessarily a genius.
Right.
You know, and you're not articulate. Like Stephen Hawking. You know, he couldn't even talk.
That's a good point.
It's very, like I said, it's the earth element. It rules the earth element. So it's very communicative. It manifests on earth. Whereas like Jupiter is very theoretical thinking, very abstract thinking. Virgo is an interesting sign, a lot more interesting than people give it credit for. And then Venus is debilitated in Virgo. And so Venus is a planet of, the reason that is, Venus finds worth. It's the planet of making decisions, making choices, and finding the value in things. And it's also a planet of sharing. You know, that's really what relationships are. They're sharing with somebody else.
Yeah.
And Venus is likes luxuries. Venus likes to be pampered. Venus likes to enjoy the senses. It's not a planet of work. You know,
I say that. Yeah, like Venus. Someone has a very strong Venus. They probably have a lot of issues with. You know, they want to be pampered. They want to be taken care of, but not so much putting the work in.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, they don't like to put that work in. And so it's but see, the odd thing is though, Venus and Mercury are friends. They're friends to each other. Right. So it's like when Venus is in Virgo, they actually say he's asleep. It's not actually as harmful as having Venus in Leo or Cancer. It's more like he's sleeping. It's not like he's in an enemy sign, because he's in a friend sign, but he's asleep. He doesn't, unless, you know, there's other mitigating factors, he's not operating at his optimal level. Right. So yeah, Virgo is a very interesting sign. Okay, so then moving to Libra. Libra is the pelvic triangle.
Okay.
All right, so Libra is the internal sexual organs. So, you know, for women, it mainly rules those organs. And then it's you know, all of the colon and the large intestine mainly, and you know, where we poop, where we hold our poop.
Right.
So this is really funny. Okay, so Libra is where Saturn is exalted. Saturn actually rules the physical of taking a poop, of getting rid of what is no longer needed in the body.
Makes sense.
So Saturn is Libra and Saturn. Libra is the scales. So it looks at what is worthwhile and what isn't worthwhile. What is valuable and what isn't. And it has to make the choice of what is the most valuable.
Right.
And so Saturn is a planet of waiting, of delays, okay? And so we think that our poop has no value, but it actually does. It has great value because we use it to fertilize our food.
True. That's true.
And it has wonderful value for that. And we can like wait. That's why we're taught we wait before we have to go poop. We can hold it, you know, like Saturn, you hold it, you know, until it's time to make it valuable.
Right.
So, so that's why Saturn is so good in Libra.
Okay.
Because it can wait all that time. It can methodically just delay and wait for the exact right time to make that decision of what is valuable and what isn't.
Right.
And a lot of really strong leaders, like really good, beneficial leaders, kings and leaders from the past, had an exalted Saturn in Libra.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because they knew when to make the right decision. And when to do the right thing, and they knew what to choose, what is valuable and what isn't. And okay, so and the sun is debilitated in Libra, and I mean that should be obvious because the sun doesn't want to wait. The sun wants to act on his inspiration, you know, right now, and not wait for everybody else. That's another thing with Libra. Libra likes to take in everybody else's opinions, everybody else's thoughts and feelings about something. And that's what a good leader does. He listens to his advisor. Yeah. And he listens to his, you know, constituents or whatever it is. But the sun wants to act on in the head, you know, he wants to act on his inspiration. He doesn't want to wait for anybody. That's why he doesn't act optimally in Libra.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of interesting with the Libra energy.
But when a person has issues with those planets, do they have issues in these parts of the bodies when those particular things are aligned that way?
Yeah, it can. Definitely.
Okay.
But I mean, like everything else, you have to look at the whole chart. You know, there's actually a Varga for health, or a divisional chart for health. It's called the health chart. And you have to look at that chart too. But generally speaking, yes.
Okay.
You can have problems in those parts of the body with these debilitated planets. Or they can be really robust. You know, they can be very vital, good parts if you have exalted planets there. The interesting thing is Saturn rules the muscular system because the muscles are what does the work.
Right.
And so when you get Saturn in Libra, usually the person is a very, you know, they have good muscular structure. They're able to build muscle. You know, they're not scrawny or, you know, whatever it is, but yeah, so yeah, that's definitely true. Okay. So Scorpio.
Okay.
Scorpio is the outer sexual organs. And so, you know, for a man, that becomes really important, but, you know, for a woman too. But more so for a man. But Scorpio, these organs are not protected by muscle or bone. So Scorpio is a very vulnerable sign. It symbolizes vulnerability. So the moon is debilitated in Scorpio and nothing is exalted in Scorpio. So the moon is us. It's basically our emotional needs and our emotional state. And when the moon is in Scorpio, and this is like the first 3 degrees where it's considered to be debilitated. Once it moves out of that first 3 degrees, it gets better and better and better, in Scorpio. So the person, when moon's in Scorpio, the person can actually feels very vulnerable, and they're very aware of what other people are thinking about them.
Right.
And so they develop this kind of persona, or they try to cover up their vulnerabilities very much. And they feel very, very deeply, but they really do a lot to try to cover up those insecurities. Because the moon is such a vulnerable planet in Scorpio, which is them. That's their mind. It's their emotional state. And so that's why it has, kind of that reputation. And, afflictions to Scorpio can cause problems with that area of the body. When you get Mars is the only, Mars doesn't like Saturn. Okay. So,
yes.
So when Saturn is in Aries, he's debilitated, but when he's in Scorpio, he also doesn't do very well either. And just because Mars it's a totally different energy. Mars likes to do things quickly and efficiently and get it done and be done with it, right? Mars is how we tackle problems that can be solved, how we deal with things that can be solved. Saturn is dealing with things that cannot be solved, that you can't do anything about. Like when someone dies, someone close to you dies, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to go through the suffering. So that's why, Saturn doesn't do well in the Scorpio either. And then also, the male sexual, he can't I guess he can, but his whole, like a woman can have orgasms over and over again. The man just does it once, and it's quicker, for a guy. So when Saturn is there, he might have problems with that. All the water signs tend to want to reach beyond. They want to get closer to God. They want to merge with something greater than themselves, But Scorpio does it because of all of the fears and demons and past traumas from their childhood. They do it because of that. So that's a Tomasic.
They want to overcome the fear of death and all those kind of things. And they constantly get information. So
right. And they do it because they don't want to experience these things. They want to transform themselves and overcome all those things, all their insecurities. And so that's why Scorpio has such a reputation, and it has a reputation for transformation, and they actually do that. And then in Gemini says about Scorpio, he says that you won't get mother's breast milk. That's all he says about it. And so that can literally mean that. It can literally mean that, but it also means that you didn't get that emotional nurturing from your mother when you were young. You didn't get it. So you have that trauma, you have that emptiness in you. And so that's like the whole thing about Scorpio, overcoming that and trying to come to terms with that. And he's mainly talking about the Atmakaraka in Scorpio, but it can be, the sun or the moon, an identity factor too.
Right.
And then, okay, so Sag.
Okay.
Sagittarius is the butt, believe it or not, it's your buttocks. And so this is a funny one. Okay, so nothing is exalted in Sag and nothing is debilitated. But Sagittarius is a very goal-oriented sign. And it's, you know, the man shooting the arrow. And so you look at a target and you let the arrow go, and you have to have a lot of faith that that arrow will hit the target. And Sagittarius is all about having faith.
Right.
And, you know, the ninth sign, the ninth house. So, but it's also the butt. And the only primate that really has a butt is humans. Human beings are the only people that have a butt.
Right.
And we can actually, did you know, we can actually go farther distances than any other animal.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's true. If we're walking, we can walk forever. I mean, we can walk for like 24 hours.
Right.
Whereas animals, a dog, or even, you know, a gazelle or a cheetah, they can go way faster than we can, but they're going to poop out. They're going to poop out. And we do that because we have a butt, believe it or not. That's the muscles. Yeah, we can actually beat all the animals. And I'm talking about a fit human, you know, someone's in shape, but but we can't.
35. All right, I got to take a break.
They actually have this race in Arizona where they have humans racing against donkeys, I think it is. And the humans win every time.
Right.
You're walking like 24 hours straight. And,
right.
And we can do that.
Yeah.
But we just can't run as fast. And it's because we have so much stamina on our butt. We use our butt muscles to walk. And then we also use our butt muscles more actually to get up and sit down, get up and sit down. We're always using our butts. So, so it's actually the butt that does all the work.
Okay.
And this has a lot in relation to the next three signs, especially Capricorn. But Sagittarius is very much a sign that does the work to get to his goal.
Okay.
You know, he's very goal-oriented. He sees it far away and he can walk there. He can get there before any other animal. So it's just a really good sign to have. And Jupiter is an enemy to no planet. There's no enemy. Jupiter has no enemies, or he's an enemy to no one. So all of the planets can do pretty well in Sagittarius. It's actually really a good sign. What I was going to say, I think I covered that. But yeah, he's it's one of the most beneficial signs, I think. Venus actually doesn't do that well in Sag because he's 3 signs away from Libra, and Taurus is 6 signs away. So you get 3, 6, and 6 signs away is not really, 6 is the house of divorce, and like at the house of like criticizing and, you know, finding everything wrong and enemies and fighting. So that's kind of why Venus doesn't do that well there, but you know, obviously other factors have to come into play, but Jupiter is neutral towards Venus. So,
okay.
And then, okay, so Capricorn. All right, so this is a really interesting sign.
Okay.
Capricorn is where Mars is exalted and Jupiter is debilitated.
Okay.
Capricorn actually rules the thighs. It rules the hip joint to the top of the knee joint. And when we are walking or hiking or really doing anything, we think our thighs get sore. It's, you know, we can get sore at our thighs. But it's very rare we get sore in our butt unless we're doing squats or something. But and just because the butt is so big, it's the strongest muscle in the body besides our jaw. But Capricorn thinks it's doing the work, but it's not. Capricorn is the 10th sign, so it's very you know, career oriented. It's an earth sign. It wants to, you know, they have a reputation of wanting to get ahead in their career, but it's also a feminine sign. So Capricorns think they're doing all this work, but it's really a sign of surrender. It's a sign of doing the work and then letting it go. You know, doing whatever you want to do and trying to get ahead, but you have to let those the rewards or what you think you should receive, let that go. Let the expectations of what you've done, of your actions, let that go. Because if you don't, you're going to be disappointed. Capricorn is very much a sign of that. Gemini says all kinds of things about Capricorn. He says, you know, demons in the air, or no, birds in the air, and demons in the water, and all these kind of really very difficult things. And he also says about it that you have problems in your hometown, meaning the village is against you or something like that. So Capricorn is on par with Scorpio as being a very difficult sign.
Right.
And people who have significant Capricorn placements usually have kind of traumatic childhoods or have not the best childhoods. And they don't really say that in Western astrology, but in Gemini's astrology, he says it quite a bit. And that's been my experience, you know, with talking with people and having clients and stuff. And you know, Capricorns can get in their own way when they start to do things and then really expect a return. And they have a really strong idea of what they expect. You know, they have you know, I did all of this, now I want to be CEO, or I did all of this and I want to raise, and they don't get it. And so they get really disappointed. You know, they can really get down on themselves. And the best thing to tell them is just let it go. Do the work and let it go, you know, which is what the thighs do. The thighs have all of this, you know, they get really sore if we use them a lot, you know, if we're straining, we're hiking, but they're not the ones that are doing the work. It's our butt, actually. Our butt is more involved in these things.
Right.
So, yeah, Capricorn is a really interesting sign. So Mars is exalted there. Mars, you know, Mars is energy. Get up and do it. Let's do it right now. You know, forget everything else. I'm very focused on something. And that's very Capricornian, you know, with a work ethic, and also with the body part of the thighs. It wants to get up that mountain or, you know, do whatever it is needed to be done. Right. And which is interesting because, you know, Mars doesn't like Saturn, but Saturn is neutral to Mars. But he is exalted in Capricorn. And Mars is the general of the planetary kingdom. He's actually called the general. So he needs to be in a place where he can act and make a difference, and for people to trust in him. And that's very cardinal earth. You know, you project yourself out, and it's earth sign. It's actually manifesting on the earth plane. It's not, you know, theoretical thinking.
Right.
So, and then Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. And Jupiter again is lofty, you know, theoretical, abstract thinking. Jupiter is creative, you know, it's not really into doing a lot of work. You know, it likes to think big, it likes to be inspired, you know, joy and wisdom, but it's not really bringing things down to the earth and making them manifest. You know, other planets do that, and other signs do that, not Jupiter. But if you have a good Jupiter and a strong sign of Capricorn, then you can really make things manifest. But but not if, but don't like tell a Capricorn or a person with Capricorn, significant Capricorn placements, don't let your expectations run away with you. Because it is very much a sign of past karma.
Right.
And just getting through that.
Okay.
And, you know, just dealing with what you have to go through. A very interesting sign like Scorpio, you know, a lot of deep emotional issues. And so, and right now, you know, calves.
Okay.
So the lower knee joint to the ankle. And so Aquarius is a sign of, we don't really notice how those muscles that much unless, you know, you're a ballet dancer or you're a snowboarder, you know, you're always using those muscles.
Right.
Like, but walking, we never notice our calves, you know, or just, they just do their job, you know, they kind of do it. And so nothing is exalted, nothing is debilitated, but Aquarius just likes to, it's the opposite sign of Leo. Leo likes to be noticed. You know, it's very much about building your kingdom. Aquarius is a sign of groups and being in the group and, you know, your social circles and being a part of that. And it's more like a group collective identity. Right. So you don't, like, individuals aren't really noticed. And so, so when you have the sun in Aquarius, the sun gets starved in Aquarius because Saturn is an enemy to the sun. And the first part of life, or the first, you know, I don't know, till 30 or sometimes even less than that, but Aquarius really, it's about growing, it's about experiencing life, and they don't feel like they're being noticed. Right. And they can develop some, you know, substance abuse or just some issues around their individuality. And this is the sun in Aquarius. And being, and knowing who they are, you know, all the last three signs, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Right. When people have these a lot of planets in these signs, a lot of identity factors in these signs, it takes them longer to discover who they are. Interesting. So like late bloomers almost. Okay. Right, right. Especially the sun in any of these signs, but especially, you know, Capricorn, Aquarius with Saturn, they go through a lot of different experiences. And, you know, Capricorn in the realm of working and getting their expectations, but Aquarius is more in the realm of ideas and being noticed in their groups, in their social circles. So they have a lot of, what? It takes them a lot longer to figure it out, how it works, how to get noticed. Right. How to get noticed and how to have their peers recognize their individuality and who they are. And that can be difficult, you know, and they do have a lot of really interesting kind of novel ideas about things. It's a fixed earth sign, and it actually is the sign of individuality. It is the sign of becoming an individual and being completely okay and accepting of all of your quirks, all of your psychological hangups, even if you don't become the person you think you should be. Like a lot of people on spiritual paths, you know, they have this idea, I've got to like get rid of this about myself and I got to get rid of that about myself. You know, I've got all of these weird problems, but that never really happens. It's self-realization before God realization. So it's Aquarius and Pisces, the two last signs. Aquarius is that part of the person that says, okay, I still do, you know, there's these things wrong with me. I don't treat people as well as I think I should. And, you know, maybe I don't have boundaries and I'm still smoking pot or, you know, whatever. but I'm okay with that. I'm completely accepting that. You know, I accept myself, and this is who I am, and that's it. You know,
Right.
God is going to love me no matter who I am, and with all my my bad habits.
So it's more or less an exception of yourself, and that really is a part of growth with anyone. Really, it's like you come to the point where you're like, you know, I love who I am. When you're a teenager, you don't like who you are. You like to be something that you're not, and then you kind of progress into that. Yeah, I get
Right.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is very much a part of Aquarius energy. That's why they do have a reputation of being so, you know, they've tried to figure out their individuality. They've spent a lot of their life trying to live up to an ideal, or, you know, or trying to be like their peers or their friends. But then they notice, you know, that's impossible, that they have to accept themselves within the group, and they finally do. And when they do, they just become really interesting, you know, have a lot of kind of unique ideas. The air signs are all about ideas and communication, and they have those things that they can share with the world. And so it's really fun to see, like, Aquarians when they get older. They just are very unique people and interesting people. So so yeah, that's when you have a, you know, identity factors in Aquarius.
Right.
And then okay, so Pisces. So Pisces are the feet, and Pisces is very much a sign of being. It's totally immersed in water. It's like when you're completely in water. Like, think of you're in a hot tub and you just go under, or the hot springs.
Yeah.
And you're just floating, and you're completely relaxed. It's a sign of complete relaxation and letting go of everything.
Right.
And so it's the last sign, and the feet are the farthest from the head. So the head is the will, you know, our willpower. And the feet is just like, they don't have any willpower. They're just going to go wherever the head takes them, you know, wherever the rest of the body takes them or wants to go, and they got to go in that direction, and they walk in that direction, and the feet is the end. And so what Pisces needs to learn is to embrace everything. Pisces is actually, it's when you say, okay, everything is me. All of these experiences, you know, the trees outside, the rain, the thunder, that's all a part of me. You know, all these people, they're all a part of me. And you actually let go of these concepts of being apart from everything else and everyone else.
Right.
And that's like, you know, the 12th house. It's the 12th sign related to the 12th house. And that's why Venus is exalted there. Venus is the ability to make a connection, you know, with people. And Venus is a very worldly planet. So you're like merging the worldliness of Venus into the complete escape, or the complete kavalia, or liberation.
Yeah.
You know, the enlightenment. And so what you do is you see the whole world, all of the senses, everything that's good and bad in the world and other people is you. It's all a part of you. And all of those ideas and concepts that you were holding on to, is once you let those go, you let go of a lot of pain. And especially with relationships.
I was about to say that. So, like, would you say in general water signs hold on to a lot emotionally?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. They actually have reputations, like Cancer has a big reputation. They have, in Gemini, I didn't mention this before, but if you have afflictions to Cancer or significant placements there, you can be water retentive in your body. You're holding on a bunch of water, and sometimes fat. They have a tendency to become overweight because they're holding on to things. because fat cells are actually surrounded by water.
Right.
And that's when we lose weight, we pee out, we're constantly peeing. Because we're letting go of that water. We're letting go of those emotional traumas that we wanted to hold on to. That's why like a lot of weight problems are around, it's all emotional.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I know you were talking about the lungs earlier with the smoking. So would that be the same with drinking pertaining to this?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, they they have a reputation for drinking, and just because Pisces want to escape, you know, they want to merge with the world, but they still have hang-ups. They still have ideas and concepts about how things have to be or should be, and so they just don't want to get away from all that. They want to just drown it and just feel happy and have a drink or take some pills. And that's why they have that reputation. But once they're able to do that without help, you know, without self-medication, then they really become, you know, one with the world, and they let go of these ideas about themselves. And so Mercury is debilitated in Pisces, and Mercury is the planet of categorization. You know, Mercury is the planet of differentiation, which Pisces does not want to do, you know. And Mercury's the earth element, manifesting on Earth. Pisces just kind of wants to float in the water and just everything, you know, encompass everything. So very much a sign, you know, Pisces in the beginning of life, if you have a lot of Pisces planets or Pisces identity factors, in the first part of life, the person can seem very lost. Right. You know, they just don't know what direction to go in because it's two fish pointing in the opposite direction. And they do, they kind of like, I want to do this, I want to go this way, don't I want to go that way? And they kind of just go in ways, you know, the earth kind of, whatever their situations are in life, pulls them this way and pulls them that way. And they don't have a lot of will, you know, to take control of their lives. Right. And they don't really know what they want in a lot of ways until they start getting older. So it's those last three signs, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Really, when these people start getting older is when they start to shine. Right. And it's not just the sun in these signs, like, you know that, but like Makara or, you know, moon, or just any planet, a lot of planets in those signs in general. Yeah. So yeah, really different way of looking at the signs. And then, you know, in Gemini astrology, they say when the Atmakarika is in Pisces, you reach enlightenment. But what it really means is, you know, you're looking for escapes. So, you know, until you're
like Pisces is more like they're looking for a way out when they're younger. They're just trying to like, all right, I want to escape this. I want to get away from that. So, and then as they get older, they kind of accept that and then they kind of embrace it.
Right, exactly. And they try to get away with addictions, and not only just, you know, drugs or alcohol, but also, you know, they can be compulsive video game players. I've seen this a lot. Want to escape that way, or they want to escape through, you know, sexual relationships, or, you know, sleeping all the time, whatever it is. But that's why the opposite sign is Virgo. You know, we always want to balance out with our opposite signs. Virgo is a sign of work and paying attention to details and, you know, just doing what needs to be done.